this meeting of the Charter Clubs Committee to order. If I'd like you to stand as you're able to say Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, take a while to get this up. It would appear that we have a quorum. I believe everyone is present. And then I have to read a meeting procedures statement that is read at every board and committee meeting. The governing board conducts all of its meetings, including committee meetings, in compliance with Arizona open meeting laws per ARS 33-1804 and in concert with RCSCW bylaws, policies, and standing rules. Parliamentary procedures, as outlined in the most recent edition of Robert Rules of Order, will also be followed consistent with Bylaw 3.07, Procedures for Owner-Member Meetings, and Standing Rules number 2 and number 3. All questions and comments are directed to the committee chairperson. All comments are entered at the discretion of the committee chairperson. Speakers shall state their name and member number and speak in a courteous manner. The committee chairperson may limit commentary time and the number of commentators or speakers on any issue. The committee chairperson also may redirect commentary at individual agenda items to the general guest comments agenda line item, except when the committee has discussed the agenda item and a formal vote is to be taken. All fire and room safety precautions and regulations are strictly obeyed at all meetings per the guidance of the Arizona Fire and Medical Authority. The committee chairperson reserves the right to adjourn any meeting if the safety of the committee, meeting attendees, or others is deemed at risk, or if there is too much disruption to continue. After one verbal warning by the chairperson, the committee chairperson also reserves the right to ask any meeting attendees to leave any meeting should their behavior be deemed dangerous or unacceptable. Disciplinary action may follow. All right, we will move on to 2.01, minutes from October 1st, 2024. Are there any additions or corrections by the committee to those minutes? Seeing none, those minutes will stand approved. Okay, 3.01, Chartered Clubs update. Recreation Manager Kesu Huda.
All right, I'll stand up since half of you probably can't see me sitting over there. Thank you for being here. Gonna go over a couple of things. First off, the Charter Club Officers Meeting. So we have those dates available for you. I did send that out in the last email to all the officers, so please be sure that you're checking your emails. If you cannot make one of those for any reason, please reach out and we'll make sure that we get you taken care of. About 2 emails ago, I sent out who is what as far as who's part of fitness and dance, who's part of cards clubs. The question usually is between social and hobby clubs. So if you need another reminder, I can always attach that to the next email so you have that available. I have performing arts. Tia, Wooly, and myself, we do about quarterly meetings with the presidents for performing arts. So that will actually be in January, but we don't have a date put in place. And then I always do, with the golf clubs, I always go to the first council meeting of the year, so that's assigned as well. All right, now the moment I think some of you are here for. John, should we ask if anybody has questions for the officers meeting before we go to this? I don't know.
I'm sorry. Yes, are there any questions from the committee?
Okay.
Any questions from the audience? If not, we will move on. Thank you.
All right, sorry. All right, so Happy Camp, I just kind of want to go over some things. It was expressed that the Happy Camp has been canceled. Technically, that is true. So I'm going to go through the history, I'm going to go through the challenges, and I'm going to go through something that hopefully is a solution. So Happy Camp was introduced in 2014. A very nice lady started it. She did a fantastic job. She retired, and they hired me in 2015, and I took it over. So I single-handedly did do it from 2015 to 2017 with the help of the events department. Then 2018 and 19, and then through 20, we did have a full staff, and they handled it. I helped them as well. 2020 came. Everybody knows COVID took control there. 21 and 22, we decided it probably still wasn't safe to bring kids into the clubs, so we went ahead and did not continue Happy Camp then. 23, we were able to hire all of our staff and bring it back for 2024, so Tracy Tanner was the event specialist that put it on for the community. And then we had our first Happy Camp since 2019 and 2024. So that's just a brief history. We've been going for about 4 years. So moving on. Some challenges we faced. The challenges we faced came from the participation from the clubs, getting information back from the clubs, cooperation from the clubs, and the participation of the kids themselves. The event specialist was not getting much response to any of the advertisement that was being put out there directly to the clubs. March was the first time that I made the presentation to the charter clubs. It would have been its charter club meeting. It would have been the first Tuesday of the month in March of 2023. I continued to promote it for 3 months. Only 10 clubs responded to Tracy. She also sent out individual emails to the clubs as well. Moving through summer, because you guys kind of go dark a little bit as far as membership is concerned, she was able to go ahead and try something different. She brought in an organized meeting for people to register and sign up in October. It was October 4th at the social hall. She only gained 5 clubs. The rest of the clubs that were gained came from constant follow-ups. Doing the Happy Camp and the marketing and getting the information out to the community takes a lot of resources, and it comes from the clubs as well. So from the lack of participation and ownership was becoming much of a struggle. I call it a curriculum. We get with every club that wants to participate. They come up with the time and days that they want their clubs to participate. So then it becomes an agenda with lots of different scheduling. If you are familiar, if you're a teacher and you had to create your own curriculums back in the day, it's very much alike. School calendars are all different throughout the US. So we did have 3 weeks. The third week started to kind of fall off and people were not participating at all, so we brought it down to 2 weeks back in before COVID. And then this last year we did 2 weeks again, and a lot of people were upset that we did not hit their grandkids' spring break. So with that being said, we're never going to accommodate the spring breaks. Wisconsin, Minnesota, Washington, Arizona, and any other states, we do have some Floridas as well. We just cannot accommodate all those, and the box office is constantly getting complaints about that. But I do want to also express that from 14 to 2020, we did charge the guest fee. So that ranged from, I believe, $250 to $350 throughout those years. Those increased. And then as far as the ticketing, we went ahead and ate the cost, the rec centers. So we did not charge the clubs for the ticketing fees. For 2024, we had much less participation and more feedback of clubs saying that they either will not participate, they're undecided, and I'm not going to expose those clubs, but I do have with me all of the evaluations that Tracy was able to collect. There wasn't any negative, but it was a lot of the words disappointed. Disappointment from the clubs as far as no participation from the kids. The rosters might have been full, but only 2 are showing. When I say full, 15 to 20 kids signed up, and only 2 are showing up. Norm, I'm going to use Computer Club because it's the best one. Everybody knows kids love gaming. They love their phones and all that. They did sell out their flight simulator, brought in all their pilots. 5 kids were no-shows. They only had 10 that could participate. So those are kind of the examples that I really like to explain. I don't know if Bocce's in here. Bocce had 33 no-shows. So they're bringing in all the volunteers from the club to help make it a good experience, and then kids aren't showing up. So it is very disappointing. So with that being said, we want to try a different concept. So I don't know if any of you guys have heard of the Munchie Mondays that we're bringing in. It's going to be the same type of environment, except for we're not going to call it that. We're going to call it Monday Fun Day. Again, this is not concrete. This is something that we're putting in place. But our goal dates are March 24th, April 7th, and April 21st. If you notice how spread out that is actually over a 6-week period, and it actually surrounds Easter as well. So hopefully we'll gain and capture a lot more interest from the grandkids. We would invite the clubs that want to participate. Hopefully maybe some of the crafters would want to come in, invite automotive restoration, maybe do a small car show, reach out to the sporting clubs. It would all be located here. It's central, one location. You have pickleball, you have tennis, platform tennis, lawn bowl, bocce. We have a lot more to do here on top of our pool. And then I've also talked to Zymergy, and they would still like to continue the root beer floats at the pool, maybe once a week during that time. And then we have Red Hot Clowns, and then bowling would also be probably available more so on Saturdays, because Sundays seem to not be as popular. So those are just some ideas that we have moving forward, spreading it out a little bit, new concept. It is change, and I know people are afraid of change, but sometimes it's for the good, and I really hope I help with some of you that might have concerns of Happy Camp not coming back, and the same ideas, that you would really give me a chance and try this out.
Thank you, Casey.
Thanks.
Appreciate that. Do we have any questions or comments from those on the committee? Cheryl.
Some of you know I volunteer at White Tank Park. In 2014, I was at this ceremony. 2015, I also helped work the big event. This is a statewide event. We were the only agency, we have been the only group that has not been funded by the feds, the state, schools, churches, the Y, that have got this award. It really is something. We beat out the city of Phoenix. We beat out everybody. And I was taking pictures along with my husband, because at that time we were both in the photography club. The kids were great. The classes were full. The instructors were very, they loved the kids that were there. I was at bocce ball, laying on the court, trying not to get hit, trying to take pictures with their faces when they were concentrating. I was in clay club, and this poor woman in there stood up and just screamed at everybody, have respect for your project, for others around you, and the equipment. Dead silence, all those kids got back, they had a great time. Swimming. The kids had swim lessons. Rita was great. She helped them learn. She took them over. How many of us know where the ring is? And how many of you have ever picked it up? It's quite heavy. So I just wanted everybody to know this is a big to-do. It really is.
Oh, you know what, actually,
Thank-
can I just
Sure.
kind of reference what Cheryl's talking about? I believe she's talking about the AZPRA award. Yeah, okay. Arizona Parks and Recreation puts on an annual banquet, and then you go ahead, you have communities under 3,000, communities over 3,000, 10,000, 15,000, so on and so forth. So we qualified for, obviously, I think the 30,000. Maybe back then it was 25. But we were awarded quite a few, I don't think Katie's in here, quite a few awards during that time. The library got one as well. And it was new, it was innovative, it was different. And it is something to be proud of. However, we put in again and again and again, and we were never, ever a contestant again. So it's like Cheryl said, it is a lot of work. We do take pride in everything we do, but things do change. So I'd like to change for the best so we can get back on AZPRA's kind of radar. So.
Thank you for that. We will entertain questions and comments from the audience as soon as the committee is done making their comments. Any other comments from the committee? Go ahead, Denise.
Is this just open to residents and their grandchildren?
Yes, correct.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Go ahead, Mike.
Do you have any vehicle to call for volunteers from the community to help your staff out?
Yes.
You do? Okay.
Nancy?
Mr. Chairman, have you done like a quick survey or Survey Monkey or something of all the clubs?
Mm-hmm.
There's so many of them. So, and what's coming back, I understand, is not very positive for wanting to do this. Is that right?
Well, I just presented it yesterday, so not sure how that word got out there. So I have all the evaluations from the clubs that chose to participate in the evaluation for this year right here. And then, again, we have 91 clubs, 22 participated, 3 of which bailed out, one because there wasn't enough participation, the other one because of illness, I believe it was, and then the other one just couldn't get enough volunteers from the club.
There's no carrots you can offer these clubs?
Well, we provided drinks. We do all
What
the
kind of
ticketing,
drinks?
water and juice, not mama juice. Yeah, I mean, we do. Tracy worked her tail off trying to get clubs. And the hard part is hearing the clubs that want it back are the clubs that we had to chase. So it is very challenging. And has anybody been a teacher in here? Yes, so you know what it takes to create those assignments, and scrapbooking, for example. I know scrapbookers in here by chance? No, they put in so much time and effort. They pre-do everything for 2 kids to show up. And so it really is challenging to not only just us. I'm not making it about us. It's challenging to the clubs. I have the emails, I have the reports from the clubs with the same concerns.
I like your idea of just having it here, you know, because there's so much to do here at RHJ. And easier than running around all the different clubs, you know? So I like that idea. And plus, we don't disturb the club. I was in pottery, and when the kids came in, I usually went out.
To each his own.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. Any other comments from the committee? If not, we'd be happy to take comments from the audience. If you have a comment, please step to the microphone, sign in with your name and your rec card number, and you have 2 minutes.
I'm Sandra Forsey, and today I'm speaking in context of the Sun City West Witches Ride, which, for those that maybe aren't quite as familiar, we formed a non-chartered club this last year. And interesting enough, we've been working, our whole premise is any money we earn goes back into Sun City West, the nonprofits and so forth. They help just form a strong community. And we've been working with Teresa Brown, and actually we're talking about doing sort of a carnival type thing for kids. And I haven't asked on scheduling. I mean, this is all still in the rough, but we thought about maybe even it being on a Saturday, that maybe that would get children more, because working moms can transport them or whatever. You know, nothing's locked in, but we also thought about having a parade, not near as long as the witches parade, but everything decorated. It's more of like a spring party. So I don't know if that would fit in for us to help out along with the foundation, or if that's even feasible. But the whole premise of it would be to try to earn a little bit of money that would go straight to the foundation.
All right, thank you. I think, Casey, do you have any comments on that?
We'll be in touch.
Yeah.
Patty just emailed about something else, so I'll put that into her wheelhouse as well.
Anybody know any scary clowns?
Thank you, Sandra.
Good afternoon. I'm Barbara DuPont, a 37-year resident of Sun City West, former governing board director, 2003 to 2006. Brings back a little deja vu here. I'm appalled to think that the grandparents or the people that live in Sun City West would register their children, and then you would have absentees. So I'm suggesting that you charge when people sign up, and you could refund the money when the people show up. But everybody that wants to register for something pays a $10 fee per child, and it's refundable when they show up on the day or at the end of the camp or whatever. But I think accountability is something that we teach our children and certainly want everybody to do. So that's my take on that.
Thank you. Could you state your rec card number
Yes,
for me,
I'm
please?
sorry. I wrote it down. It's 29568.
Thank you very much. You have been here a long time. Any other comments from the audience? Please step to the mic. Thank you.
My name is Sam Henderson, 117988, and I'm just curious about, you said Flight Sim had 10 no-shows?
No, 5, so 50%. You have
50% of our were no-shows? What year was that?
this year.
Pardon?
This year, they've
This
never
year?
they've never had. Even I will say in the evaluation, they said they've never had anybody be a no-show, and this is the first year they've had it.
I'm just surprised because I'm one of the instructors who tries to get the kids started on Flight Sim on the computer. And I can't imagine that we've ever had a no-show. I mean, we may have had no-shows, but if we had some vacancy, someone was there to step in and fill it. With a sister or a brother or...
I think they went out and found kids that were probably hanging around Palm Ridge. Am I right on that, Norm? And they were able to fill it because they went out and found kids during that time.
And what's wrong with that?
Well, we should. If they can't make it, the right thing to do is call and cancel. And if we have a waiting list, that we can put those other kids on it. That's the right thing to do.
Okay.
And I hope I don't say this the wrong way, but we cannot babysit all the parents that don't want to hold their children accountable. We have our other stuff that we are responsible for doing. And, you know, it is fun. It's an activity that went over very well at the beginning, but I really think times have really kind of changed a bit since that beautiful COVID word happened. And technology is all, and that's why the flight sim is very important to talk about it, because it's gaming. It's what kids do. They do the coding, they do the gaming, they're into that. So it was a little frustrating that that was the one event that kids were not showing up. I'm not sure who filled out the paperwork. I have never met that person, but Tracy had, and she can vouch for it.
Well, I think there's other members of that flight sim group in Computers West who may be able to speak more to that. But thank you for your time.
All right.
Thank you, Sam. Any other comments, questions from the audience? If not, well, thank you very, oh, Nancy?
Just bouncing around. I'm sitting here listening to folks and to you too, Casey. Is there any decision on this? I mean, it seems to me like if you're not getting any participation and the clubs don't want it, there's no yes or no, right? We're going to end it. I mean,
Well,
that's just what I'm asking.
a decision has been made. We are going to try, a new solution.
Okay.
Not sure what we're going to call it yet, or have
Okay,
you
so-
decided on a name?
No, I just have it in parentheses, Fun Day Monday.
Okay, you know, I think we simply have to adapt to a changing population. And our population has been changing. And I think Casey has responded with a good alternative. And we just need to give it a chance. If it doesn't work out well, we can evaluate it and we can make changes next year. But I think this is an ops decision, and I think they've made a good one to try something new. So thank you, Casey, and thank you for all the questions. Jolene?
Yes, I'm speaking as a resident, not as a board member. What's so disappointing to me is that it was
Name and number.
Jolene Piaskowski, 132268. What's so disappointing to me is that we didn't have it for 3 years, right? And now it came back for a year. And because we had some people not happy, we're going to cancel it. And I understand it's a lot of work. But on the other hand, we can take some of that work off of the event department. You know, put it on clubs, guys. The clubs are the ones that want to put this on. So put it on the clubs. Have them sell the tickets. Have them, you know, get the names. I ran Happy Camp for Riposo last year. We had 2 people call, hey, like, I don't know where you guys are because we didn't get tickets from you. We got them at the office and we don't know where your room is. So, you know, if we sold tickets or they came to the club to get the tickets, then all those grandparents know. And guess what? Now, when you're selling a ticket, you have somewhat a relationship. Oh, I'm so excited that your kid's coming. It will be so much fun. You know, you have a club member there getting excited for your grandchildren to come. Okay? Not only that, but we also want our kids, our grandkids to know what we do. Oh my gosh, Nana does this and Nana does that. I can't believe that. And Papa does this. I mean, that's what's fun about building that relationship. And I understand that, you know, they're all about gaming, but don't we want to give our children other experiences? So I really suggest that we try it one more year just to see if we cannot make it fly. I mean, and have some guest speakers when you have your presidents there. Have some guest speakers tell us how it went over in their clubs. We did sewing. We had to bring in our own machines because they could not sew on our machines. Just a thought. And I made it in 2 minutes.
Thanks for your comments, Jolene. I think Mike had a comment also.
Yeah, I do have a question for you, Casey. Have you tried like a test bed or a test time during like Christmas break? I know it's too early for that, but
We still offer 2 free big grandchildren event, and one of them is during Christmas. This year it's December 14th, Christmas in the Park, and that's for grandparents and their families. And we bring Santa, there's train. We used to have snow, but that does not exist in Arizona anymore as a service. We have Legos, DJ, bounce houses, hot cocoa. I mean, I can keep going. But we do offer that. We have Santa letters, this is the last week that we're going to be accepting them, because every year we get 200 letters the last week, and so we're pushing hard to try and get those in so that grandkids can get their letters from Santa.
well, I'm talking about the same framework that you have for Happy Camp. Have the clubs run it and just advertise that the clubs like tennis, pickleball, outside sports,
If
bowling,
clubs
something.
run it, then there has to be something centralized. Has to be somebody running this,
Needs to be
promoting the
centralized. Okay.
information out, getting tickets and contacts so that things can happen. This is not something that can just be thrown at everybody, hey, figure it out for yourself. It's not that easy. And that's the reason it did win an award, because it was so organized and so well ran. We can run it. It's no doubt in my mind. It's just we are not getting the participation from the club level, nor are we getting participation from the grandchildren.
Yeah.
So
I only thought of that time frame because of Christmas, because we find that a lot of the children show up, basically come to visit the grandparents during that time frame. We figured that would be a good time for a good test bed or something like that. So.
it's also, I'm in Arizona. I'm from here. I don't know what it's like to come visit grandma and grandpa out of the snow, because my grandparents lived here. But, we try to definitely get the kids too that are in the snow in March and get to be in this beautiful sun. So I can check and see how many. I don't know if we can figure that out anyway on guests for kids. I guess we can run a report or something at our pools, but I don't have any answers for how many visitors are here during Christmas time. That make sense?
Thank you. Nick, you have a comment?
Yeah, I'm listening to this, and I get the impression that the kids like Happy Camp. The clubs that put on Happy Camp like Happy Camp. The problem is that not that many kids are turning up, and it is a big effort, and it's one of those trade-offs between effort and reward, and some of the clubs are now finding that the effort is too much for the reward that they get, because kids are not showing up. And I'm a believer in experimentation. If something's not working, change. Try something, iterate, try again. And what I see the administration doing here is changing, trying something else with a view to iterate. And so I think there's a balance and a compromise here somewhere, that we can reduce the effort for some of the clubs to make it easier for them to participate. And hopefully we can attract more children by doing this on a specific day in a specific place. So I think we should go ahead, see what happens, get feedback, learn from it, adjust for next year.
Thanks, Nick. Sandra, did you have another comment?
This time I'm speaking 132439.
Thank you.
This time I'm speaking more from the Silver Club. I'm still kind of a witch, but I'll speak from the Silver Club this time. When we had talked in the past about kids camp, we came to the conclusion that it's very difficult to do much with children inside of our club, because there's a lot of dangerous tools, and it's really above children's level. And it does take a lot of time, and it took, because I know we've participated a long time ago, but it does take a lot of effort from the club. that was part of also why we had thought, back to the witches, this idea of possibly a Saturday, thinking that maybe there would be more available, still talking to clubs, like maybe somebody could bring clay from the clay club, but to try to, we had mentioned Beardsley Park. I don't care really where we have it, but to just have it more of a spring outdoor holiday, but still something besides creepy clowns.
All right, thank you.
Hi, my name is Betty Hoyt. My number is 130824. I'm in the Basketeers Club, and we had, some kids coming in, and it was fun. We enjoyed it. We had little prizes for them, too. We participated with all of it. I do support your decision on whatever it's going to be, because you're the ones that do the work behind it and setting it all up. But I really think that it's very important that we make this seamless with the people and let them know that it didn't work out. I think that they need to know why this didn't work out. But, I agree, sometimes change is good. Move forward and move on, make it better, make it fun. But it's just sad the reason why it came to an end.
All right, thank you very much. Any other audience comments? Have another try, Sam.
Hi, Sam Henderson again, 117988. I just wanted to make a comment about trying to centralize Happy Camp in one place like RH. If you're looking at Flight Sim, that means you have to move 3 or 4 computers and the stand that they go on, the yokes, the pedals, the controls, all of that stuff into RH facility and then pack it back to the Flight Sim room and computers west. That's a lot of work to do when you're going to have 3 hours for 2 days, twice, 1 month, and then again another month. It's just an awful lot of work to try to centralize that activity in one place.
Thank you, Sam. I know there's concern with that type of issue. There's also concerns with how do you do lawn bowling or how do you do softball at R.H. Johnson, but that doesn't mean that the clubs that are there with their booths can't schedule kids to come the next day or schedule them for a day where they can come and maybe do something similar to Happy Camp, but at least you know who's coming and how many are coming and when they're coming. So anyway, that's my comment. Anyway, no other comments? We will move on. 3.02, liaison reports. I think we'll start with Pat with arts and crafts. Anything to note?
I've been in touch with all 25 arts and crafts clubs by email. I've met many of the members at the open house that was held last week. I stopped by a couple of clubs and observed things that are going on, so things are going really well. I'm open for anybody to contact me if they have any issues, and things are going fine.
Excellent. David, how about cards?
I've met with 4 of the club's presidents and co-presidents, and I've had a few questions that I'm getting answers for one of them, and I'm planning contact with the rest of them, try to get them all contacted here shortly.
Great, thank you. Cheryl, fitness and dance.
Okay, I met as many of the clubs that were at the newcomer event. There were 6. I met many officers, which was great. I've emailed everyone. I've been to some of the classes. I have a listing on my calendar of the general meeting of the ones that I know about to go to. And they're working great, and we are in every facility, every range of motion that there is a class for, and that's it. They're really wonderful out there.
All right, thank you. I know most of us are new, so meeting with all these different clubs, we're all learning a lot, I think. Vicky, hobbies?
This is my second year working with the hobbies, with the hobbies clubs. I have emailed all of the presidents. I've heard back from several of them. I'm still missing, I think, about 3. And in the rest of November, I've already got 3 board meetings on the calendar where I will be attending the board, with the board and seeing what's happening, and I'm looking forward to it, and I'm going to have to get back to the rest of them.
All right, thank you, Vicky. Nick and Mike with sports. I don't know if you want to tag team this or what you want to do.
I'll go first. Mike and I have split the sports clubs between us. The ones I have, softball had the welcome back barbecue, and they were kind enough to invite me to that. And I don't think I've eaten as much food in one go as I did at that barbecue. They're very generous with the food. Tennis got the 45th anniversary dance this week coming up. We're a club that's been around 45 years. There's something else I discovered as well this week, although it's actually one of Mike's clubs, which is lawn bowling. The greens which are being used by the US Open are in fact 45 years old as well. And the condition that they're in is fantastic. So thank you to Todd and his people for those greens. I'm a member of the club as well, so again, thanks for that. Pickleball have been having some of their welcome back social items, meets as well.
And I've got the other half of the list, which is Horseshoe and Cornhole. I was invited to their picnic, which was last weekend, but I had some personal conflict with that. Not personal, but I had things that showed up at the last minute. I couldn't attend that. But great club, been around a while, and they just got put together recently, Cornhole and Horseshoes, and they're doing very well together, as a matter of fact. Johnson Lawn Bowls went to their club meeting, like Nick had said, and they're putting on, in fact, the tournament's going on this week, as a matter of fact. I walked over from there to here this afternoon. If you guys have a chance, go check it out. It's pretty interesting. Haven't gone with the mini golf yet, haven't met up with them, but the cyclists went to their club meeting also. We talked about a lot of things, introduced each other around, and knew half the people in there from pickleball myself. So, but they're a good club, and they're well organized. They don't have any issues either. So they're doing well.
All right, thank you much. And then we have Denise and Nancy for the social clubs.
As we're both new, we're a little bit behind the 8 ball, but we're gonna get going. We're set up, we're gonna make all our schedule of when we're gonna be able to attend their meetings and everything. So there's 11 social clubs, so we're probably gonna tag team them rather than go separate, so.
Sounds good. Casey, do you have anything for performing arts?
I do know that Theater West had their performance. They did a charity event, and they were able to raise $12,000, I believe. So they were able to disperse those funds to some community charities. And they have another one coming up. Again, it's charity, cash only at entry. And Dance Sensations has their performance coming in 2 weeks. So if you haven't purchased tickets for that, you can actually go online to their website through the SCW Club's website, or you can go to the box office over at Stardust. very limited hours for that. And then Western Airs is, I know 2 of their days are sold out, so they do very well with their Christmas sales. So those are almost sold out. So if that's interest to anybody, make sure you get your tickets.
Sounds good. I think that'll do it for our club liaison reports. Move on to 4.01, new committee member introduction. Mike Renier. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have anything to say for yourself to by way of introduction?
No, happy to be here.
That works. That works. Moving on to 4.02, handouts. It was just, I asked for some handouts to be put out to the committee. Basically, it was the Chartered Clubs Committee mission, and which is broken down on this, and also a readout of all the different clubs and who where they're held, and some information for the different clubs. So just a FYI on that. Okay, well, we go to 4.03, photography club space utilization presentation. Who do we have here from the photography club? Welcome.
Good afternoon, Chairman Chadden and members of the board. I'm John Obradovich with Photography West. We were downsized in 2014. Our facility size is adequate, but very tight. Our membership consists of a college photography professor. We've got a world-traveled photographer of movie stars and model photographer, a recently new member who's retired food photographer for Pillsbury and other top food organizations. Sitting in the back is Larry Cowles. He needs special recognition because the Photographic Society of America worldwide gave him an award. He's only the 13th person in the 90-year history of PSA to receive this award, and it's the Lifetime Achievement Award. Our membership is currently 308 people. We've got very unique resources in that we have powerful computers with specialized software. We have wall and window space for our print exhibitions and displays. Our lighting is color corrected as that in a gallery, a photo gallery, or print gallery, painting gallery. We have widescreen TVs which are color corrected because standard TVs will not give us the proper color and images needed for judging and for use of our classes. This classroom has a mixture of powerful PCs and also Apple computers. We're able to cut mats. We're able to cut prints and mount up to 16 by 20 inch prints. We've got a portrait and still life studio. Our members are able to archive and digitize slides, negatives, photographs, home movies, camcorders, and even 8-track and reel-to-reel tapes and vinyl records as well too. This is a picture of our main room, and the big cabinet that you see in the pictures there was built inside our club, and it's much larger than any door opening. This is a typical print exhibit, which changes twice a month. Out-of-pocket costs for our members just to print and mount a single print is about $25. And an exhibit consists of 24 images. And this all comes out of our members' individual pockets. This is our separate scanner and digitizing room for audio tapes, vinyl records, and here you see people digitizing slides and negatives. This is our portrait and still life studio, and here you see a portrait of one of our board members. Portrait and still life studio. In this particular case, you see where the studio is used for shooting still life and close-up pictures. Our classroom is a mixture of PCs and Mac computers. We have 2 display windows. In this particular case, if you look at the picture on the left-hand side, you see a big bulb. And that picture was created in our portrait and still life lab using reflective technologies learned from a pop-up meeting. Now, a pop-up meeting is a meeting pulled together in just a few days' time where one of our members says, I've got one of these ideas, I'll research this technology, and I'll teach it to a handful of our members. And this particular award has won statewide and international competitions with this particular picture. Community service, Happy Camp. You've heard a lot about Happy Camp today. Well, we provided 15 photographers for a total of 28 different clubs for their events, and those were 66 different scheduled events by these 28 clubs. And we covered all of that with 15 photographers and also a staff of 7 people for us to manage the scheduling of our photographers and also take all of these pictures and post-process them for the rec center for them to put on Facebook and use for other publicity purposes. Stardust Theater. We're the largest club user of the Stardust Theater. And during the summer, we'll have 3 meetings, about 50 people. And during the season, we'll have upwards of 185 people attending the shows that we have at the Stardust Theater every Friday morning. And we have visiting professional photographers come in free of charge to give their presentations. And we were very fortunate on 2 occasions, the Canon camera company sent in at their expense on 2 different occasions 2 Explorer of Light photographers just to our particular club because of its reputation. We've had some of our professional speakers say, oh, the projector in the Stardust Theater is pretty bad. You can't see into the colors are washed out, the shadows are too dark, parts of the pictures are totally blown out. So we did some research and got together with friends of the library and fortunately, with both of our clubs, we were able to buy a $7,000 new projector for the Stardust Theater. Now, when that projector was put in, the projectionists for the Thursday night movies, who are members of the Friends of the Library, started out with the old projector. And then they switched to the new projector, and you should have heard the people. Wow! That much of a difference in the quality of what was then projected. A lot of our programs are travel logs put on by our members, presentations of professional photographers. We get calls from the posse and the prides to document their work. We send out our photographers. We offer free walk-in assistance to Sun City West residents if they have a new camera and need assistance. Come on, there we go. Our fall schedule, this is just part of what we do. 31 classes scheduled through the end of the year, 4 workshops and 6 learning labs, Verde Canyon Railroad field trip, 4 photography exhibits. Now, those exhibits are the 24 pictures I'm talking about, hanging on the walls at about $25 a piece. And we have 12 competition judgings within our club. And this includes us judging for a statewide organization and also the international organization called the Photographic Society of America. We've got an outstanding mentor-mentee program that was created within our club several years ago and continues to go on. This is where a mentor, a beginning photographer, will take in-house classes. And after taking those in-house classes, they're then assigned to a master photographer. And that program takes several months to complete. We have global recognition through the Photographic Society of America. We participate in worldwide interclub competitions. We have digital images and also photo books sent into our club to have our qualified judges judge these international works of photographic art. And some of our club members also act as instructors, free instructors, to the Photographic Society of America. We're also active members of the photographic community called Arizona Camera Club Council, which is 15 clubs across the state of Arizona. And they have semi-annual conferences. Upon occasion, our club will even be asked to provide qualified speakers and photographers at these conferences. In fact, next year we're going to be sponsoring an Arizona Camera Club Council right here in Sun City West. We participate in their competitions, and our reputation is very high in winning a large number of awards, ribbons, and medals by the images of our people. We provide speakers as well. We're recognized throughout Maricopa County because of our reputation and the quality of our judges. We're asked to serve as judges, and we travel to other clubs across Maricopa County. And upon occasion, we even teach photography in some of these clubs as well. We're a service definitely to Sun City West. We're recognized worldwide. We're recognized statewide as well, too. This is a picture of just some of the 24 prints we have in the library and also the social hall. These are changed out about every other month. And the library staff tells me that they have patrons coming in just to look at our pictures. And several of these people even ask, when are they going to change these pictures so I can come back and see the new ones as well, too? We present talks and exhibits to 4 Alzheimer's centers. And here, members will go in with 20 by 16-inch prints, set up a display, and talk to these patients. And I'll tell you, it's a real tearjerker and tugs awfully hard at your heart when you see these people and the reaction on their faces and how they come out of their doldrums when they see these pictures. They don't want to see us leave. They want us to stay with them. And these centers have told us that this is a very effective form of communication with these Alzheimer patients. We draw residents to Sun City West just because of the reputation of Photography West. We're very critical to serve our community. We use our resources very, very well. And a brush, your pottery tools, and an expensive camera, they do not create a work of art. It's the talent of the artist. And photography is an art, it's a science, includes composition, lighting, perspective, camera settings, color, tone, and impact. And that's what we teach here as we serve our community, and our special facilities are needed to be able to continue this mission of support to our whole community. Please tour our unique facility, and if you have any questions.
Thank you, John. Are there any questions or comments by the committee?
We're at Beardsley, and we're in between Clay and also the glass fusion people. They come in to visit us, we visit them. We have members from those clubs as members of our clubs. They're good neighbors. We enjoy having them.
Any questions or comments by the committee? Nick?
Thank you very much.
I can always be relied upon for a question or a comment. It's a great presentation, John, thanks. And I know you're here because of a suggestion, and there's been a suggestion because of space expansion requests by some other clubs, which may result in the photography club having to move, which is why you're here. And I know that that's not a final decision, but it's it's the reason why we're having this presentation here. And I just wondered if you, as a club, if you've given any thought to, if you did move, how much space you would need, what that space would look like, and what the implications might be of you having to share that space with another club.
Well, I think I would refer that to our president, Greg Swinney, and he's standing right there.
Okay.
Name and record number, please, Greg.
Yes, I'm William Greg Swinney. I'm presently proud to say I'm the president of the club at this time. My rec card number is 123528.
Thank you.
As you know, a decision's been made by the rec center staff in response to 2 clubs for more space, and that adversely affects the photography club. It may look simple on paper, but by giving away our club space puts our club in limbo, as there is nowhere else for us to go where we'll have the space to do what we are presently doing. We've discovered that the computer club is using all their space for their members with their usage. There's nowhere in that room, the computer rooms of that club, to use our computers, our professional studio, a mat maker, which takes a lot of space, dry mount press, equipment for digitizing all the forms of media. We need storage space for supplies for all those activities. You may not realize the 20-plus computers we use are much more powerful than those in the computer club because of the programs we use call for a lot more memory. We believe that the clubs need to better plan for the use of current space. There's no way that any of the 3 clubs in that building can get all their members in the room at any one time. Presently, we are allocating our space via a computerized reservation system so that we are not overcrowded at any time. And finally, at the rec centers, looking, as I heard last month, the least expensive solution, and that right now is to do nothing. Because let's wait till there's some funds available to make new space before we make these kind of decisions. I thank you for the time to do this.
I thank you, Greg, but I would comment that there is no decision has been made by anybody on the board or any of the committees as to what's going to happen in the future. At the end of our meeting today, I will be calling for a special meeting in a couple of weeks so that all the clubs that are involved in this discussion can be present, and we can ask more questions and hopefully come to some sort of recommendation moving forward.
Yeah, we're good neighbors with the clubs. We have nothing. A lot of our members are members of both the other clubs, and so we're kind of neighbors, and we get along pretty well. And we'd like to keep it that way. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Greg. Any other comments or questions by the board or by the committee? If not, we will turn to the audience, and
Yes,
please,
good afternoon.
please state your name and rec card number.
My name is Mark McKinney, and my rec card number is 113275. Our rec centers, we have amenities, clubs, activities, and they're for everyone, and we're fortunate to have that. And the dilemma we're having now, we're square in the middle of 2 growing clubs. We recognize their needs, and we have needs as well. I'm a lawyer, and I was trained in the Socratic method. And basically, that means there's 2 sides to everything. And I don't envy you people, because you're going to have to accommodate, make a decision between those sides. I ask only you to weigh the factors, give the weight accordingly to what you're seeing and what these clubs can do. And then as to consequences, before you do it, just be sure. Because there's a lot of times decisions are made, and then you go back and you think, I wish I hadn't done that. And unfortunately, the wrong decision here, I do not think Photography West will survive, because all we would have is a place to meet up at the theater, because we can't fit in with the computer club. I know when I was on the board of Photography West, and this was a while back, but when they were in terms of expansion, it was mentioned to us that our computers might overload the electricity system at Beardsley. So you need to look at that and make sure that they even could accomplish that with extra kilns up there. My final thing is, let's not praise the day before the evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Larry Cowles, and I've been here in Sun City West about 8 years now. I was the one that John mentioned earlier that received a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Photographic Society of America. So from that, you can see that certainly photography is a big part of my life and very important to me. So when I was getting ready to retire and move to a place like Sun City West, looking at the Camera Club was really very important to me. And one of the reasons I moved to Sun City West is because they have a world-class photography organization here. And that the equipment we have is in very few other locations of, the type of retirement community that we're in. And all the equipment we have, me being involved in teaching in the past, this would give me a place to use my skills to teach photography, to produce images and stuff that I can put into competitions because I do enjoy doing that. In our studio, we have the ability to produce, prints like this. This is the type of stuff that we can do, and we can teach people how to do pictures like this and produce it. All this stuff takes room. A photography studio has to be so big in order to be able to get far enough back in order to take that picture. The printing stuff, the mounting equipment, all this is stuff that takes room. And going in with, let's say, like the computer club, there's no room there to be able to do that. Plus, we have to have the security of the equipment. We can't have people walking out with some of the expensive equipment that we have. And the other thing is that a lot of people rely on us, like the library. Every 2 weeks, we go into the library, and all the pictures you see on the wall, we produce and put in there. If our camera club goes away, those images go away, along with a lot of the other activities that we provide. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is David Pickles, rec number 125115. I am a member of Photography West, and some of you may have received a letter that I sent to Mr. Chatton a while back, and hopefully he forwarded that to you, describing my involvement in this club and in the community. But today I'd like to just reiterate and emphasize some of what has been said here today around the technology that our photographers require to pursue their hobby and create the images and videos that not only our club members enjoy, but the community enjoys as well. Creating and editing images requires computing capability way beyond what it takes to do email, creating documents and spreadsheets and the like. The graphical nature of our work and the file sizes that new camera technology create means that we need extraordinary computing resources, more processing power, more memory, high-end graphics card. All of that is necessary to do what we do. Our software just will not run effectively on a basic computer configuration. Most photographers will quickly abandon their projects if what should take a few seconds ends up taking several minutes. Our software has become increasingly more complex, and computing resource requirements have grown with it. My own computer became outdated and desperately needed to be updated. And as I waited for an upgraded computer, I went into the photography club and used the computers that we have there to do the things that were now too tedious to do on my home slow as a snail computer. And many of our members take advantage of that same benefit as well. The classroom space that we have with sufficiently specially configured computers for photography is essential to the ongoing development and growth and enjoyment of our photographers and the ability to do what we offer to our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, my name is Paul Voorhees, 115249. Full disclosure, I'm a member of both Photography and Computer West clubs. From what I've heard so far on this issue of the Clay Club needing more space, has been sort of a zero-sum game. You know, take it from one club to give it to another. Well, I'd like to suggest something different. I walked by the Clay Club several times, and the last couple times, there's only been 2 people in there, the monitors. And, you know, what does that prove? Nothing. Okay, well, think about the facilities in Sun City West that aren't able to accommodate anyone who wants to go in when they want to. Golf. You can't just walk up and play golf. You have to make a tee time an appointment. Well, I suggest that the answer to Clay Club's capacity problem might be scheduling people into their room. It seems to me if they did that, they could probably accommodate everyone, and it doesn't involve taking space from one person, one club or another. That's all.
Thank you. I see the Clay Club wants to be heard.
Good afternoon. I'm Lynn Kellis with the Clay Club. A couple things I'd like to straighten out.
Rec card number, please.
129120
Thank you.
is, as you know, Mr. Benhurst, if I'm saying it right, had written an article in the newspaper a couple weeks ago, and unfortunately, quite a bit of the message was not accurate, and I have written a rebuttal, and I think everything's kosher because it was straightened out a little bit. First off, Clay Club, we need more room. You can't make it by appointment. We have snowbirds coming back, and it's not realistic. You don't know how long you're going to be in there, and it doesn't work. And Clay Club did not open the door and say, we want to have more space, so we're just going to take photography club. Didn't happen that way. We are looking at 1/3 of the club. Now, once it was pointed out to us that that might be an option, we were looking at 1/3, Glass was looking at 2/3. So just to kind of clarify things, it didn't happen like we were coming out after photography. They're great. And just like the president said, we have a lot of our people who belong to photography, and they also belong to Glass, and everybody gets along. It's great. It is like an open door. People come in and out all the time. So this is not a property grab. It is simply a case that we have some growing clubs, and that is positive for our community. We have people come in a lot who want to see what we have and are astounded by what we've got to offer them, and they do make their decisions to move here because of clubs like us. I appreciate your time, and just thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Any other comments from the audience? Any comments online, Nick? No comments online. Well, we thank you very much. And we will move on to 4.04, which is Computers West Club Space Utilization Presentation.
Good afternoon. My name is Norm Falcone, and I've been lucky enough to serve as the Computers West Club president for the last 2 years. Within those 2 years, I've seen some growth within Computers West. But I wanted to start out, this would work, by giving a little bit of history about Computers West. It started in 1984 and was targeted towards new residents in Sun City West. And this was back when many of the residents had no knowledge of what the technology would provide them and how it could make their life easier or provide them with many other opportunities to learn new and exciting things. So we went about it by, I wasn't here personally, but my parents were, it was announced in the Rec Center News, and 83 people responded to that notice in the Rec Center News, and started meeting. And how did they start meeting? They met in each other's houses, and then some local banks offered some office space for them to meet in. And the purpose of the club, as you can see, was to aid residents to enrich their lives with computer classes, vocational programs, and help and support services and information exchange. And the motto that we still have to this date is that technology has no age limit, whether it's with a camera, a computer, or your automobile, or anything that you use. Technology is changing, and people need to stay current on how to use that technology. In 1985, we were allocated 2 craft rooms in the R.H. Johnson Rec Center and shared space also with the Leather Club at the Kuntz Rec Center. In 1989, we were given a permanent site for Computers West, and I put permanent in quotes because it wasn't permanent, at Beardsley Rec Center. So that was our first large move from the 2 spaces we were given originally. So that's 2 moves. In 1990, Sun City West sanctioned us as a chartered club. 1994, with our 10th anniversary and more than 1,300 members now from the original 93, we moved to a new site in the Palm Ridge Rec Center, which again we had hoped would be a permanent site for the club. Our Palm Ridge history was we were given 3 relatively large rooms and a repair office where our technicians could work. Similar to a computer programmer, they need to be separate from other areas and get about the business of repairing members' computers that were in need of such repair. And by 2001, when we were over at Palm Ridge, our membership had grown to over 2,700. So as you can see, it was as technology advanced, people were still interested in coming in, and it was a very growing club. Our maximum that we reached at some point was over 3,000 members. Today, no, we currently don't have over 3,000 members, but many people might be relying on grandkids or sons and daughters to help them some with their technology. Originally, when this club started, everybody needed help. Nobody knew what to do with a computer except those people who were in the industry. In 2003, as you can see, we were nice enough to be granted the Palo Verde room, which was a very large meeting room over at Palm Ridge Rec Center. That meeting room would hold up over 100 people, similar to what Summit B does there now for various clubs to do their meeting. We used that room for our overflow, and oftentimes we'd have 100 members in there for a particular class that would be of interest. A lot of times the Apple Club our Apple user group would meet in there on a Friday afternoon and have 100 to 115 people in there. In 2018 to 2019, similar to what's going on now, a club decided that they needed more room for expansion. They were growing, just like other clubs grow. The decision was made to say, okay, what can we do? They looked at Palo Verde, they looked at Computers West, they looked at the Acacia Room, which was another smaller meeting room over at Palm Ridge. The decision was made to put the computer club in those 2 meeting rooms as our new location. Again, we were given 4 meeting rooms. We had a lobby area where we do our check-ins and repairs, and we have an Apple classroom, a PC classroom where we have the capability of up to 17 students, down from 23 in our old classroom. And the Apple classroom has 6 up-to-date brand new Apple computers in there and will hold up to 20 students. The 3rd large room that we have is our overflow classroom, which now only holds up to a maximum of 45 with virtually no equipment in there, just open theater seating. If you put equipment in there, we use that same meeting room to house our flight simulator group, which meets there once a week and still is very active. We have the group called Open Source now, which used to be Linux, which was an open source software system, now involves much free software that we've put on computers that any of our members can come in and utilize. It's kept in that room. And then we have the cord cutting or streaming classes in that room, which traditionally fill that room to capacity when they're offered. That's how we can show people how to save money and cancel their cable TV bills. And that's been very popular among the community. When that remodeling was done, the club was reopened just before the COVID shutdown hit. So you can imagine to our club, like all other clubs, what happened. You get a brand new facility and boom, you can't use it, it's closed. Once it reopened, we've been slowly rebuilding again. We still have, as I said, currently 1,128 members, and we're still growing back. Our space that we're using currently now is adequate for our current membership. As you heard from the photography club, the room that is mentioned as a possible relocation for the photography club would not be adequate for the equipment that they have and they need. We have needs for storage. That's the reason it's dedicated space. We have a lot of computers in there. We have probably 25 Windows computers and 9 or 10 Apple computers that are in there for our members' use. And it's open 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. So we also have security needs as well as what photography would. And how would that happen if indeed there was a transformation to that larger meeting room? Where would our other club users go that we would have space for? We don't currently have a facility that we could allow to have setups for like Flight Simulator and those other groups who use our overhead projectors. Are they as fancy as the ones at the photography club? No. We don't require the resolutions that those folks do. We may in the future, depending on what groups start to use. We've got another group just forming that's dealing with artificial intelligence. They want to use that room as well. And that started out, the room was packed. So things are happening, technology is changing, and the club needs the space that it currently has. To my recollection, I've heard nothing other than the fact that if this decision is moving forward, once the other clubs have requested space, I have nothing against those other clubs growing. Everybody needs to grow. But how they get their space is going to be an issue for the governing board and this club, this chartered club committee in particular, moving forward. It's a need that all clubs might have in the future. And how big do you need to be? And how often are we used? I mean, our space, yeah, we could cram some more people in there, but not the photography club and all of their members at the same time, utilizing it to the same level that we do now. I've heard of no other proposals being made for the rec center use other than the one that is being presented to you now, possibly moving photography out to give 1/3 to clay and 2/3 to glass enamel. And where would they go? The only thing I've heard is put them in the computer club because they use computers. Well, as you heard, their computer needs and camera needs are different than what we currently have at the computer club. If it was incorporated, fine, but there isn't the space there for their cameras and their photography needs, their cutting tables and everything else that they would need in that one room that the rec center might look at for expansion of the photography club in addition at Computers West. For our community outreach over the years, we've done many things in the community, starting way back when things weren't as fancy as they are now. We counted votes for the elections for the rec center. We worked at staff with the hospitals to train some of their people and demonstrate electronics for those people that were handicapped. We set up computer labs at schools when we're asked to come in and help with that and show the students how to use them. In tax season, previously when we've had members at our club that wanted to volunteer, we've worked with the IRS tax aid software to help members of the community prepare their income tax filings. We've collected and continue to collect old computers for recycling or repair. And some of those we give to members when they need a second computer. Others we donate, and some are raffled off at our general meetings for members who want a second computer. We worked with the Students Recycling and Used Technology Program. We've collected battered and torn flags to turn over to the VA for proper retirement. And we've collected donations for Maricopa County Animal Shelter and other organizations in this county and in this community in particular. In 2007, a program was started called Cell Phones for Soldiers at Computers West. And that's continuing. To date, they've collected almost 22,000 cell phones now. And what we do with those, they're taken and recycled And then the parts that are recyclable or used are given to the recycling manufacturer. They give the minutes, they give dollars to the people that have donated those, which is through the club. And those dollars are used to buy minutes for the soldiers so they can have minutes on their cell phones. And we're partnered with, as you can see, Credit Union West, Quorum, R.H. Johnson Library, and the Posse that also have these boxes where you can drop off your cell phones. You don't need to throw them away. If you come to the computer club, we'll erase all of your data from them and make sure that nobody can steal any of your information. So you can feel free that once they're in the box, they're going to be put to a good use. We also have donated computers recently to the Grad Solutions Smart Schools, and in conjunction with the Spanish Club, we had some computers go down to Mexico with a school there that had absolutely no capabilities with computers. And here's some pictures from those folks. And then here's what you see when you see a box for cell phones for soldiers. And this is what's inside most of those boxes. And again, those are ongoing programs. We continue to offer those services. Our participation, which is important to this chartered club committee. You had several meetings last year about what your percentage of participation should be. And a lot of members and community people had a hard time and a difficult time understanding what that really meant for the clubs. Well, as you can see, we have pretty good participation on an annual basis from our members. So we do utilize the space that we're lucky enough to get from the recreation center. We had almost 10,000 check-ins in 2022 and an 83% participation rate from our club members. In 2023, it wasn't that much different. This does not include the month of December, when we usually have a holiday event and lots of other things going on at the club. So even then, we had almost 10,000 participation during that time. And again, 77% up till November. This is just a picture of one of our chartered club general meetings when we are lucky enough to have Summit A available to us at Palm Ridge, which is our home base. And we usually have anywhere from 200 to 300 members attending those general meetings. This is one of our classrooms. This is the room that is being looked at, the overflow classroom or the expansion. As you can see, when we have people in there, it's utilized. The space is utilized. And this is just a gathering of club members to sit around and discuss and have a good time. Other events that are in there, the Apple group meets in there every Friday and brings in 35 to 45 people, which fills the room. We have capabilities for programs, projections, classes, anything that club members want to pursue or utilize that room for, we have it scheduled. When we schedule classes, depending on the class size, this is what we call the overflow. If you get more than 25 participants, our room capacities in our other classrooms are exceeded. So we use this room for those larger classes. And many of the things that we're offering bring in larger amounts when you offer the signups. In that room also is Flight Simulator, and I'd like to address perhaps what happened with the Happy Camp this year was, personally, I probably entered our name a little bit late into getting registered with them, and that's my fault, had nothing to do with staff. I got a lot of contacts initially, and then I did respond finally, and they were nice enough to give us a spot. We sent out invitations, and we got invitations and responses. Those people did sign up. People that did not show up in the morning did contact us and say they weren't going to be available. We did not go into the parking lot and try to find people to use those empty spaces. We took the brothers and sisters of those people who did attend, and they were thrilled to death to be able to have a space that they didn't get a ticket for. So we did make use of those available times. They didn't go to waste, and those families went away extremely happy because both of their kids got to participate rather than just one. And one was a set of twins, if I remember correctly, Sam. And they were just pleased as punch and learned a lot. And that you should see the faces, and when photography comes in and takes the pictures, you should see the smiling on the faces of these kids. They all love to crash a plane, and that's what we can provide. I mean, Sam can testify that's the number one thing is What happens when you crash? He says, you just get up and fly again. And this is a picture of what we do with some of our recycled and refurbished computers. We'll raffle them off for a $2 fee to our club members, and a lot of them get donated back to the club, which we donate out to other club members for use or to various organizations within the community. We're still true to our original purpose. I want to conclude here by saying we still offer that continual learning experience, keeping our residents informed and trained in the newest, that is the latest technology, and resolve to do so, all with volunteers, by the way. We have not had the need to hire individual instructors to come in and teach. We have volunteers within our club that do all of the classwork and the instructing. A lot of user groups now are coming under our umbrella. Various groups are asked to be a chartered club. Sometimes they're told, no, you can't be a chartered club. So what happens to those groups? Well, we have Windows users, we have Apple users, we have a large genealogy group that comes to the club every week and uses our computers, which we provide at no cost to them for worldwide access to their data, so they can find, as people are fond of saying, all the criminals in their family. We have open source now, which was formerly the Linux group, where we provide free software for anybody who needs it loaded onto their equipment at no charge. We provide cutting the cord, which eliminates the cable TV bills for a lot of people. Provide a matrix where you can pick whatever channels you want to watch. We'll find the lowest cost provider for you, or give you options on how to watch everything for free. We offer what is commonly referred to as one of the best community services by the people who give a lot of tours and come to the club with large groups. They say you need to join this club because you can get your computer fixed for free. I'm here to tell you that's not our only function. That is one of our big functions, but it's not our only function. But our members do appreciate that, because if you get in a pinch and something's not working, our technicians are there on Wednesdays and Fridays for 3 to 4 hours to repair at no cost other than the parts that they might put into these computers, your computer, and also to provide some instruction on how to use it if it's a new computer. If you buy a new computer, they'll transfer your data over for free. All this is done by volunteers. To date this year, we've done a little over 1,600 repairs, and at a minimum cost of $40 to $45 an hour, which is way below what the open market charges. That's a $50,000 to $60,000 savings just for our members. And it has to be for our members because we're a chartered club. We can't do this community-wide. We'd be happy to, but then we would not be able to be a nonprofit. So our interest is to serve our members, not necessarily to provide a free service that competes with private enterprise. The computer club purchases all of its equipment and maintains and repairs them at no cost to the rec centers of Sun City West. You're kind enough to give us the building, the electricity that we need, the tables and chairs in our facility, and good service for our general meetings and do our setups, and provide us with 4 general meetings at no cost. And we do greatly appreciate that. As I said earlier, our club hours are 8 a.m. to 4 p.m., Monday through Friday. And in the summer, we cut it back because of more minimal usage by members from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. and provide all of those services throughout the same weekly schedule. We don't change what classes we offer. When there's instructors there, the club is open and the instructions are given to the people who sign up for the individual classes. And again, I want to thank you, Chairman Chatton, and this committee for giving us the opportunity to at least give a little bit of approach to what we do at Computers West, and the fact that it is our opinion that it wouldn't be necessarily a good fit to just try to pop the photography club into the Computers West room that is our large meeting room. So consider that when you have your discussions moving forward, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Well, thank you, Norm. That was a really good presentation. Do we have any questions or comments from the committee? Anything online?
No.
No.
Oh, you're going to make it easy.
Questions or comments from the audience? Please state your name and your rec center number again, please.
I'm still the same person. Do I sign in again?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah.
Barbara DuPont, 29568. I'm a member of the computer club. I monitored, well, last year, I've forgotten which year, but 88 times in 1 year. So far this year, I think I'm about 35 or 36 times I've monitored. I want to tell you that this is the one club in Sun City West that is unique. It is the one club that every single resident should join. And I feel that way because at some time, either you or some member of your family is going to have a technology need, and we are the ones that can help it. I'm praying that we still have this club for my family as they move into Sun City West when I leave. I see people who actually cry. One of their spouses has died. That's the person that used to do all the computer work, and they don't know how. We had one woman break down right in the lobby there because she was so frightened of taking on all the responsibility. So they come here. It's the buy of the century. $20 gives them this thing. If you're like me and you break out in hives when the screen is all black and nothing happens, that's why you need the computer. When my Fire Stick breaks down, I call Norm. I say, Norm, my Fire Stick is broken down. So it's really helpful. It's a wonderful service to the community. And I beg you all to realize that it is a need to have club in Sun City West, and it serves the residents. Thank you so much. By the way, we have chocolate.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions from the audience? Sam, go with Mike.
You thought you were through with me.
Well, one can only hope.
Sam Henderson, 117988. I just wanted to piggyback on what was just said. The $20 that you pay for your membership in the computer club not only gets you all that free service, the technical support with repairs to your computer, but you can buy a new hard drive, you can buy memory, and they will put that into your computer free, and they will install the latest version of Windows 10 or Windows 11, whatever you're using, at no cost. That's a heck of a deal for $20. Plus, if you choose to go to the membership meetings, you get a free lunch. Now, where are you going to get free lunch 6 or 7 times a year for $20? Not very many places. And the service that you pay $20 a year for with your membership, try to go and call the Geek Squad and see if you can get them to come over and fix your computer for $20. Anyway, that's enough for me.
Must have been in sales, Sam. Any other questions or comments? If not, thank you very much. Appreciate the presentation. And we will move on to 4.05, Tennis Club Accommodation Request.
Good afternoon to everyone. I'm Larry Plaster. I'm the president of the Sun City West Tennis Club. And we're here today to request from the Chartered Club Committee an accommodation for non-compliance with the RR&Ps that were approved last April. See if I can get the direction right. First of all, the accommodation we need is for play tennis club competition in what's called the West Valley League. We have played in the West Valley League competition for well over 20 years without exception, except for the years of COVID. And it consists of 10 communities, 8 of which are age-restricted communities in the area, all very similar to ours, and 2 public facilities that are a part of the West Valley League. You might say, why is it important that we play in an external league? Well, tennis is a competitive sport, and when most of us have been playing, that are in our tennis club, have been playing tennis for 30 years, 40 years or more. A great part of that is league competition and tournament competition. We do play internally. Most of us play 3 times a week with a group that is equivalent to our skill level. But we play the same people basically over and over. That's good exercise. You can't say it's not competition. Certainly it is. But when you play in a tournament or a league, the level of competition goes up. You have to make more decisions on the court. You have to decide, you don't know these people. You have to analyze their game. And you play harder. There's more adrenaline. And most of us that play in competitive sports thrive on that adrenaline. So it's important. It's important club benefit for us to be able to provide this level of competition to our members by competing in the West Valley League. For us to compete in the West Valley League, most of the leagues, we have 4 skill levels that compete. Most of them play 6 or 7 other league teams around the valley. And we play exchange. We play at their facility, and they play at our facility, which requires non-rec card holders to be able to play at our tennis facility during the West Valley League play. We purposely schedule the play so it does not compete with club member or resident use of the tennis courts. It's always scheduled in the late morning or early afternoon. And we only use 6 courts maximum, so with 16 courts, we're not displacing anyone by doing this. And as far as we know, we've never had a complaint from the tennis community about our competition with the West Valley League. The RR&Ps that were approved in April include several things that would prevent us from continuing to be able to compete. The one is the CR14A, the reciprocal agreement form. Talk a little bit more about that later, but that was not new. That's been in the RMPs for a while, even before the new ones were approved, but it is a problem. The problem with the reciprocal agreement, we have tried to get the other members of the West Valley League to sign one of the reciprocal agreements so that we could play without a problem, and they just refuse. We even had our general manager go to all of the other clubs before, with the exception of 2 of the clubs that participate. None of the others would sign the reciprocal agreement. They don't see any need for it. They don't require that we sign anything to play at their facility. They don't charge us anything for playing at their facility, and they don't see a need to sign the form for their people to play at our facility. Then another problem is with the R&P requirements is that it requires that you only participate in external leagues with age-restricted communities like Sun City West. But at our higher level, our 4 old ladies, our higher skill level ladies, there are not enough players at the other facilities at that skill level to make up a league, enough teams for a league. So there are 2 public facilities that participate at that level, the Paseo Racket Club and the Surprise Tennis Center. So they are not age-restricted communities, which is what's required by the RR&Ps. One of the biggest issues is the reciprocal agreement requirement. Other clubs won't sign it, and we still don't, we've commented on this during the R&P sessions. We don't fully understand what problem most of the reciprocal agreement is trying to solve. It's been there for a while. We've not been able to find out why it's there and why it says what it says, but it restricts play in external leagues to playing teams or clubs with light facilities. It requires equal use of their facilities when we go there as here. There are just a number of requirements that we don't understand what difference does it make. What matters to us as tennis players is that the league participants are properly classified in their skill level and are of the minimum age. Our leagues are 55 and over. They are age restricted. Whether they come from an age-restricted community or not, we don't see what difference that makes to our club. What does it hurt if we have players, as long as they meet the age requirement and the skill level requirement, that are not from an age-restricted community? It just makes no sense to us. And there are several other things there. The reciprocal agreement says you can't bring a guest. So if Pebble Creek player wants to come up here and play and bring their spouse to watch, that's prohibited by this reciprocal agreement form. So we don't understand why it's so restrictive and what its main purpose is, what's it trying to solve, what problem is created by outside non-cardholder players coming in here to play tennis. As long as they're the proper age, we understand that we don't want teenagers coming in here. We don't want to play teenagers either. They're too fast and they hit the ball too hard. But so we're looking at solutions. We think that the reciprocal agreement requirement needs to be relooked at, and maybe age-restricted communities is not the right word. Maybe age-restricted is fine. Our leagues and our tournaments are age-restricted. In the meantime, we need a path forward to be able to play in the leagues this year without violating the requirements. So the one area where we could see that there could be problems is there could be complaints from people. The tennis club doesn't do it, but others might say, well, you're allowing non-rec card holders to come in here and play with no cost. Well, they allow us to go to their facilities at no cost. No one charges anything except the public facilities. Surprise Tennis Center and Paseo, both teams that play there in these leagues have to pay the public fee for playing at a public facility. It's not a club fee, it's just a public fee. But none of the other communities, there's 8 of them, charge anything for us to go play there. But we understand that there could be complaints from the community for that. So what we would like to see the committee consider is, for this year at least, entertaining our request for an accommodation to the R&P requirements for this year, and to look at a possibility of paying a fee for league play, not an individual fee where we have to come in. I mean, we could bring the guests in and pay a guest fee for them, and there's no restrictions on that. We could do that with every league team, but our members don't want to do that. It's not, the people that are coming in here are not using all the facilities. They're going to play tennis for 2 hours and they'll leave. The cost is just, we consider to be unfair, since they don't charge anything for us. But if we want to address the issue of there needing to be a fee because people will complain, okay, we would propose something like $100 per team paid upfront for league play, that would address the issue of having people come in outside without paying a fee. So the bottom line is we asked you to consider this accommodation for this year until we can resolve some of the issues that we don't understand about the restrictions. We've been able to do it for more than 20 years. It's important to the tennis club to be able to continue to do that. But we don't want to violate the RR&Ps. We'd like to find a solution without doing that. So that's our request.
All right, thank you, Larry. Appreciate that. Do we have any questions from the committee? Vicky, please.
Larry, I have in my packet a fantastic, and I want to compliment the tennis club on the request for an accommodation that was written in reference to the swing into spring. All right. Fantastic. You did exactly what we asked you to do. Okay. The issue with that, which has been addressed, is that because that is an external tournament that comes under special events, which goes through a rec manager, not through chartered clubs.
Yeah.
So that's fantastic. But the document that you created was great. Did everything we asked you to do. Exactly. You went down that checklist, you had it. All right. My question is this: is there a document that was created in reference to, for accommodation in reference to the West Valley League?
Yeah, it should be in your packet, exactly the same. Yeah, the packet was supposed to include, I wrote both of them, and it should have included accommodation request for West Valley League, line by line to the RR&P requirements for an accommodation. And the SIS, I'd given that to John for information, but we weren't going to bring that forward. So if you didn't get it, I'm sorry. You were supposed to, according to Karen.
Another question that I have is, in that packet, which we don't have, in that packet, do you provide a list of exactly what where the member teams come from?
No, but I
think that's kind of an important thing for us to have.
Okay.
Okay.
There are 10 of them. You want me to give them?
Well, no,
to you?
we should get it so that we have it in. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't list them specifically.
Okay.
Because it varies. Each league is a little bit different. You know, so our 3-0 men play a set of different clubs.
Well,
and, but I can give
basically, I guess what I'm asking for is the names of the, because most of them are age-restricted communities. Okay. So I think that we should have the names of those communities that you haven't been able to get reciprocal agreements from.
Well, we haven't been able to get reciprocal agreements with there's only 2 that we've been able to get reciprocal agreements.
Well, but this is still important information that we need to have.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, I just lost the third one.
Is it not in there, Pat? Sorry, because SIS wasn't supposed to be in there.
So there are also the infamous checklists that I've referred to on a number of occasions. Since I don't have a packet to the packet that was submitted, all right, let me ask you this. Did you provide a detailed documentation of your efforts to work within the RR&Ps?
Yes.
And did you explain when and what communities you actually requested to get the reciprocal agreement signed? Is that information in there?
I didn't name, I mean, we went to all of the communities
but I didn't name them specifically.
Well, that's kind of important for us to have,
Okay.
all right? The specific numbers of your tennis club members who would benefit if this temporary accommodation were to be granted would be like how many? How?
That's in the packet, but it's
That's
about,
in the packet.
it's
Okay, good.
about
I'm
80.
glad to hear that that's in the packet. And what's your plan? Because by definition in the RR&Ps, an accommodation is meant to be temporary, which you kind of alluded to,
Yes.
okay? But what's your plan for next year?
Well, we're hoping that the R&P review will, my understanding was the purpose of an accommodation, if it has merit, if it's approved, then the R&P review committee would then look at what would we change in the R&Ps.
Well, the RR&Ps, as you may or may not know, right now are under revision.
Yes.
Okay, we have the working group that is working on that.
Yes.
Okay. And one of the reasons that we started with this accommodation idea when we revised them last year is because we wanted to see if there were an overabundance of chartered clubs who might be experiencing the same thing, because that would certainly inform the way that we look at specific RR&Ps. Because just as we have to, as a committee, we have to look at the RR&Ps every year moving forward, okay? Just because you were unable to get reciprocal agreements signed last year, say, doesn't mean that you shouldn't be pursuing it this year. It's not just, well, we couldn't get it, so we're not even going to try anymore.
There's a little more to it than that. But
Well, right, but that's what I'm saying.
I
That's
understand.
why we're looking for the documentation, okay, about when that was done, what the response was, and part of what we've suggested in the RR&Ps that you do, because it's not like you specifically need to go to those other communities and you need to ask. You should be working with whoever your counterpart is in that community, okay, and go as a team and present your case to them as well. Now, do they have the right to say, no, we don't want to sign it? Well, we don't have any right to tell them how they have to run their community, but we also don't have to change kind of what's a bedrock of the RR&Ps because it doesn't work for them. These are things that we need to keep in at least in the back of the mind.
The background was in the packet. I'm sorry you didn't get it. But we did that for like 4 years in a row.
But documentation isn't that we did it 4 years in a row. What did you do?
We went to all of the rec managers of all of the other participants in the West Valley League, including having Bill Swin go with us, the general manager, to get them to sign it, and they refused. So okay, we can go do that again, but
well, I think
there's not much hope.
it's important that you go through the process because then at least you will have documentation. Because right now, at least I didn't see any documentation. I haven't seen any documentation. I've heard, that you've done it, but we need to have documentation that it was done. Now, in reference to, you've asked a lot of questions in your presentation, okay? But an accommodation isn't about questions. An accommodation is about answers to the and providing the information to what we have in that particular RR&P about an accommodation.
Yeah.
All right. And granted, this is the first year that we're doing this. So this is a learning experience all the way around. Okay. In reference to what the purpose is of a reciprocal agreement. I've never seen it in writing.
That's
Oh,
one of our
excuse me.
basic questions.
Okay. Governing board president will address that piece, so I won't say anything. It would be great if you could provide us with the accommodation document so that we can then read it, get all the information that you provided with
I'm
us.
sorry, I was told that it was there, but.
And
I will accept some blame for that. I had thought that that had been sent out to all the committee members or was in the packet. Well, we believed it was in the packet, but I believe it was the wrong.
It's the wrong one.
The wrong accommodation is the accommodation that we don't need.
Yeah.
So I think there's several points here, and I appreciate Vicky's comments. I think it's, I think she asked how many players it affected. 65 players are what are involved. But, you know, our duty isn't to ignore our RR&Ps. Our duty as a committee is to enforce the RR&Ps. And I think there's two shortcomings on your accommodation request. And one is the lack of documentation for the lack of the reciprocal agreements. And I assume that if we have reciprocal agreements that we don't have to charge them anything to play here.
That's correct.
Which would accomplish that. And as far as the 50 age-restricted communities, we have we have 4 people here that are reviewing the RR&Ps, and if they see that as something that they want to change how that's written to maybe 55 and older. Comment?
yeah, in reference to the age-restricted communities, originally when we revised, it did say 55 and over communities. It no longer says 55 and over communities. It says age-restricted because any community for senior citizens has the right to make the determination for their own community, whether that's going to be 50, 55, whatever it's going to be. But it is age-restricted currently in the RR&Ps. It did used to be 55 and over.
Yeah, but what we would request that you consider is just making it age-restricted.
That's kind of a bedrock in the RR&Ps.
Yeah, and that's the part we don't understand. You know, there's part of what we're asking is to take a look at the reciprocal agreement. It has requirements in there that we don't understand what difference it makes to Sun City West residents, whether players come from age-restricted communities or not. You know, what's the problem that we're solving by saying that?
That may be something that the president will be addressing.
You know, and there's requirements in there when the people look at it. It requires that when other teams come in, they have to show us their ID cards to show that they're a member of their age-restricted community. You know, if Sun City brings a team here, we're going to assume.
Excuse me, Larry, with all due respect, I don't have an answer for you. It's not my position to give you an answer. And the president of the governing board is up next, and I would really like to hear what he has to say.
Okay.
President Leary?
I will defer to you, Mr. Chairman, to finish the comments from your committee.
I forgot what comments I was making now. I was just going to say that I think we need to postpone consideration of this until our next meeting, because I think we really do need some effort on the tennis club's part to bring us some documentation on the lack of reciprocal agreements with what other organizations and why we can't get them. It could be as simple as a letter from them saying, we don't require reciprocal agreements, so we don't wish to sign one for Sun City West and have their club president sign it, or something along those lines. But, you know, we're trying to accommodate the best we can to keep the tennis club and the league going best we can. But I think short term here, I know it's not what you're looking for, but I think short term, your guests are probably going to have to get guest permits for them to come and play. And I know you. One of the comments is that, well, all they're doing is using the tennis facility, so why should they pay the $6 so they can use everything else? But as far as my opinion is, I'd love to see them use some other facilities. Maybe they'll move here. Maybe they'll like it better than where they're at. Anyway, I will.
I think it's
Carol.
too bad that the document that should have been included in the packet wasn't, because I think this addresses a lot of what we're discussing. And I think it's unfair to them that we're basing an opinion on information that we should have seen and we did not see. So I just think it's unfair to ask them to wait another month when they did provide what they were asked to provide.
I agree. I don't, well, I could certainly ask the committee if they are willing to consider an accommodation that does not provide, is simply asking us to ignore two of the RR&Ps that they are required to comply with. I think if we give them a chance to at least comply with the one of them and have discussion on the other, that perhaps we can make an accommodation. I don't know that we can at the moment, though.
May I? Oh, you go.
I'm not comfortable making a decision when the club has submitted information that we haven't received yet. So I'd like to see that before we make a decision. The other comments I'd like to make is that the RR&Ps are a governing document of the recreation centres, and they have been approved by the governing board. I understand the frustration with the issues around reciprocal agreements particularly, and the requirements or not for a guest fee, but the debate on the merits of the reciprocal agreement is something that we should have when we're having the open discussions and the feedback on the RR&Ps. You know, the RR&Ps working group is still doing its work. We will be bringing forward recommended changes for the committee to discuss, for the clubs to discuss, and for the public to come here and comment on. And I think that's the time for a discussion on the reciprocal agreement. At the moment, the requirement for the reciprocal agreement is in the RR&Ps, and the RR&Ps are a governing document that's been approved by the governing board. So we have to respect that. And I know that the accommodation request is because of issues with the reciprocal agreement, but we don't have your full submission, Larry. So, you know, it's difficult for us to. I know it's just one of these things that happens, but it's happened.
It's been a lot of hours putting that together, so I'm sorry you didn't get it.
President Leary?
Okay, Jack Leary, 128260, also president of the governing board. I'd like to address Mr. Plaster's concern about the reciprocal agreement. This is my third year on the governing board, and this is at least the third year that I have heard from the tennis club that they do not understand the reasons for reciprocal agreements. This has been addressed to the tennis club multiple times. This is the last time I want to hear it because I'm going to put it to bed now. So to understand the reciprocal agreement, there are several reasons for it. One is that the facilities here in Sun City West are bought and paid for by Sun City West members. That's member owners, associate members, and tenants. They all pay the fee. That goes into buying and maintaining and modernizing our facilities. They have priority over everything that they do. The board has a fiduciary responsibility to operate and maintain those facilities for our members. So in order for us to do that, we have to regulate the number of outside users that come in that put wear and tear and perhaps risk displacing our own members from using our facilities. So there's one reason why we need the reciprocal agreement, is to understand that we're going to have a certain number of people come in and use our facilities at a certain time. We can tolerate a certain level of use from outside people without paying additional fees, that sort of thing. But we have to regulate that, so don't overplay our facilities. Now, another reason why we have that is so that if we have a reciprocal agreement and there's a like-for-like clause in there, there's a reason for that. Our facilities are top-notch. They've been called world-class. Not every community has that. So there would be a tendency, unless we had a like-for-like clause, there would be a tendency to overplay our facilities. So we need to balance that. So again, it's there to protect the usage for our members, and all of us here own a piece of that. So to not respect it and to not do it is disrespecting our neighbors and our other members. The other thing that I was disappointed to see in this presentation is the reference, the editorial comments about not understanding the need for a reciprocal agreement. The reciprocal agreement is relevant only for this request, this accommodation request, to point out that you have tried to get it with these other organizations. The not receiving a signed reciprocal agreement is not prohibiting you from moving forward. What Vicki is asking for is, here's what we did, here's the result that we got, we've tried it. Which brings us to my final point. The accommodation request is the solution of last resort. So the purpose here was, as it was said by Director Piaskowski, put the onus back on the club. Make the club demonstrate that they've tried to solve their own problem, and now they need help. So I hope this is the last time we hear from the tennis club they don't understand the need for a reciprocal agreement. Any questions?
Yeah.
I'm addressing Mr. Plaster.
No, Jack, I understand it's not that we're saying we don't need a reciprocal agreement, it's just some of the requirements that we don't understand. All right, so the like-for-like facility.
Oh, I left an important one out, sorry, I'll interrupt you. Another important one is liability.
Understand that.
And it's two ways.
Yeah.
It's two ways. Are people playing at their facility? It means we will accept responsibility for those people and not taking responsibility for for outsiders who play on our facilities. So it's, we've got a $30 million reserve fund. People are going to look for reasons to sue us to get a piece of that. So that's another reason why we need to have that protection.
Well, we always require that they sign a liability waiver.
It's but a reciprocal agreement is two ways.
Yeah. But I guess the parts of it that we don't understand are things like why do we need to check the visiting members' IDs to be sure that they come from Sun City?
Because you do. That's part of the reciprocal agreement.
No, I know.
This is every club. This is not just a tennis club. The tennis club is the only one who claims they don't understand it. Every other club does. I want this to stop.
Well, okay. We need help. And that's
This is my third year of doing this.
Yeah. Well, I'm not sure what else to say other than it's, we'd like to find a way forward to play in this league.
And this league has been going on for how many years?
20 plus, 30
Okay.
years. Yeah.
This league has been out of compliance with the RR&Ps that entire time, and I appreciate you trying to bring it into compliance. But to Nick's point, there needs to be the appropriate information provided to this committee so that they can make an informed decision to the governing board.
Okay.
So I understand your frustration. I'm frustrated as well.
Yeah, and we don't want to be frustrated.
Right, exactly.
We don't want to break any rules, but we want to be able to provide this to our club as we have for 30 years. So
okay,
we're asking for help.
Okay, thank you. And they've offered to give that to you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Larry. I should ask, are you going to try and get some reciprocal agreements to bring back to our December meeting?
I mean, the issue with that is the league's already started for the women. They're already playing, so we have to do something with what's already going on. The men's league will start in December. You know, we can go try again. We have, but there's 10 of them, so that's going to take some time. I don't know if we can get that done by the December meeting or not. We'll do what we can.
Well, why don't you just let me know when you have made your efforts and if you have those reciprocal agreements, and we'll bring it back before the committee.
Okay.
Thank you. Other comments from the?
Peanut gallery? Okay, I'm Jolene Pyaskowski. I'm speaking as a resident, not as a board member. Hey, Barb, you forgot your rec card number over here. Okay, so
Rec card number?
Oh, 132268.
Thank you.
You guys should know that by now. But anyway, so we have been dealing in this with 3 years, reciprocal play. Now, Casey, have you not been involved with this for 3 years?
Vaguely, but not at meetings. I tried myself in 2017. Phil Dodery tried like right after COVID himself. Then it led into the general manager, and he shared with us that he had multiple meetings that they did not want to talk about it.
Correct. So now you guys are going to ask us to go back again for this signed reciprocal agreement. They have told us multiple times, multiple years. Am I correct, Casey? Yes? Okay. So do we not look like we're bad? And Jack just said that we had to make sure that it maybe have to do with legal. Maybe they don't want to sign the reciprocal because legally, if someone gets hurt on their property, that they could sign, if we all have reciprocal signatures, maybe they could sue all of us. Do you understand? I mean, I just don't understand why this is so hard to understand that we have had at least the last 4 years. And prior to this, I don't believe we were out of compliance with the RR&Ps because there was a form, and I'd have to check with Ron Wambach. There was a form that we did have the rec center sign. 13 CR, 13A, maybe B, I don't know. Nick, do you remember that at all? It was a form that we had signed. But anyway, it's just, pardon? So anyway, it's just kind of interesting that we're back to this whole reciprocal play again, but we have done this for 4 years with Casey, with Phil, with Mr. Schwinn, and no one can get to sign. And now you're going to ask us to go back again. Don't you think we look kind of like, hey guys, we're going to try one more time? I don't understand.
Okay, thank you for your comments.
Mrs. Payakowski, what I would like to say is, as I said before, the lack of a reciprocal agreement with another community is not your impediment. Your impediment is not showing that you've done the appropriate due diligence To get that, you've got the evidence that says you have an email or a letter that says, we will not sign that, and that is part of the accommodation, to show that you've at least made the effort, because this is the solution of last resort. You've tried, you are unable to get it.
So you're going to ask us every year.
Every time you ask for an accommodation, that is the way it is handled, the way it's written now, the way it is written now.
So does that not look like not?
I think with that, we should move on unless there's other people with comments. Karen?
Thank you. I don't generally talk at these. I'm the person that compiles the documentation. Apologies to Tennis Club. I've been flooded. However, I just want to make it, I need direction from you all. Are we asking the Tennis Club to provide the correct documentation to me so I can distribute it to the committee for further understanding? Right? There apparently was a false document that was old or whatever, not the latest document. I need to understand that since I'm the one that has to produce all these documents. You send it to me?
Yeah.
I have received documents not only from you, but from others as well. It's a little confusing, sorry. Okay, that's good. I just received several documents, and I've received more recent documents, unfortunately, from other sources. So it's a little confusing. So if you would resend what you believe is the document the committee needs to see so I can distribute it to them prior to that, because they're going to be deliberating about this topic, correct?
Not unless we hear from Larry that they have some reciprocal agreements or some
Okay.
documentation saying that they can't get them. But
Okay.
the two accommodations that Larry sent, and I think one was an early one, and then one was edited, and then there was the one for the tournament, and then there was a
There were
second
several.
one, and they looked exactly the same except
Yes.
for a heading on there.
Yes.
So it would be easily confused to, I had both of them.
Right.
I got both of them.
So
from
I
you,
just
but-
want to be sure that we get that I get the correct documentation to the committee now for
Yeah.
review.
I think regardless.
Excuse me, I'm so sorry, I'm having trouble hearing.
Yeah. Regardless of whether tennis comes back at a December or January meeting, I think providing the accommodation request for the league to all the committee members would be a good idea.
A good idea. So I will wait for whatever the correct documentation is. I'll replace it on board docs as well and distribute it to the committee. Okay?
That'd be great.
I just needed that absolute firm direction, plus I write the minutes, so thank you.
Are we done with that? Moving along, we will move along to 4.06. Well, we formed a working group a while ago to review the RR&Ps, but there is a deliverable statement that is required when we form a working group, which we have not stated before. So, at the October 1st Chartered Clubs meeting, I assigned a working group to update the Chartered Clubs RR&Ps as necessary. Specifically, this working group has been assigned the task of updating the RR&Ps to refine the rules, regulations, and procedures that govern chartered clubs in order to reflect current and equitable club practices and procedures. The working group is led by committee members Nick Turner and Vicki Erla, and includes committee members Pat Kramer, David Bennett, and former RCSCW RR&Ps Administrator Dory Miller. They are scheduled to meet from now until the end of December on Friday afternoons in the Governing Board Conference Room. Their suggested RR&Ps revision will be presented at the January 7th Chartered Clubs Committee meeting. And that's that. And then I would call on 4.07, I would call upon Nick and Vicky to update on the revisions that they're working on for the RR&Ps.
Okay, I'm just, I'll give the update. Vicky and I agreed it, and I just did distribute it to the other members of the working group as well. This is part of the annual review of recreation centre policies, and the Charter Clubs Committee, of course, doesn't have policies to review. We have the RR&Ps, and as I said earlier, those are, like the policies, those are a governing document of the association. There's one change to the membership of the working group. Dorrie Miller was unable to continue for personal reasons, and she has been replaced by Connie Kopf. The other aspect as well, of course, with the RR&Ps is that other policy documents dealt with by other committees are about 1, 2, or at the most 3 pages long. The RR&Ps, as we all know, are about 20 times larger than that. So it does take us a long time. But so far, we've worked our way through approximately half of the document and its content. We have sent an email out to all club presidents, asking for the club presidents for their input and feedback. We have invited key members of staff as well who are involved and engaged with the clubs to come and give us their views. And we do expect to have the red line version ready for distribution to the committee here, and that process, of course, will also make it public for the January meeting. I don't expect that there will be discussion at the January meeting because everybody will be seeing it for the first time. So I would expect there to be discussion and feedback in February. And then we'll iterate. We'll take that feedback into consideration. We'll make any updates and changes that the working group feels appropriate before then coming forward with the final version, which would be the working group's recommendation for the committee. And then if the committee likes that and recommends it, it then goes to the governing board for their approval. And we do expect change and iteration and feedback. And that's it.
All right, thank you much for that update. Okay, moving on to 5.001, committee comments. Let's start with Pat.
I have none.
All right, Cheryl, none. Vicki?
I do have a question, just a point of clarification. The request from Tennis Club, all right, is that going on board docs or is that coming to the members of the committee so we can come up with our questions that we have? Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
Nancy? You know, when I worked for cities and counties, you couldn't have a meeting on an election day. It was illegal. So I always think it's interesting that we're not a city or a county or a rec center. David, do you have anything?
No comments. Thank you.
Denise?
No comments.
Well, I had talked about looking at a special meeting to accommodate all 4 of the clubs that have made presentations to us. We've had presentations from the Clay Club, glass fusing and enameling last month. And now this month we've had presentations by Computers West and Photography West, Photography Club. So here's what I would propose, and I would certainly want some feedback from the committee. we need to discuss what we're going to do with all these presentations. We have a lot of information, but we haven't come to any consensus as to how we move forward with this. I would propose two things. I'd like to do tour all the facilities involved, have the whole committee go on a tour of all the facilities involved. And I'd like to do that on the 12th. I believe that's a Tuesday. That would be next Tuesday. And Carl said he was wide open and he could accommodate that, and he would have the keys for all the facilities if people weren't there. Is there if that date works, is there a time that the committee would prefer? Morning or afternoon?
I'd prefer morning, if possible.
Morning would work? Why don't we shoot for 8:30 to start that, and we'll get some more information out to you. We'll get that information out. I don't know where we will start. I'll have to talk to Carl and coordinate with him. And then I would like to have a special meeting on Monday, October 18th. Oh, November. Ha. Okay. I'm only a month off. On November 18th, I believe it's a Monday, and we do it here at 1:30. And the sole thing on the agenda would be the discussion of how we move forward with the presentations that have been made. Is everybody all right with that? Change the 12th to 9 a.m.? That works.
Do we know how long, do we know how long?
Already checked that out.
Do we know how long it would take if we're doing a tour?
Tour at 9 a.m. We're 2 weeks from today. No, it's a Tuesday, I believe. It's a Tuesday. I did put that on my calendar. 1:30 on the 18th, Monday. All right. Yes, and that will be here. Here in the lecture hall. Yes, here in the. Okay, that's all I have. Anything else from the audience? Sure, Denise?
The tour you're talking, it would only be 2 facilities, right? It'd be Palm Ridge.
Well, yeah.
Oh. Yes.
2 at each.
Okay, so we'd only be looking at those 2, because I'm just. Yes, but I mean, not all 4 facilities we're going to. Okay.
All right, with that, we will adjourn the meeting. Oh, sorry.
You asked, but then you started talking to your committee
Okay,
again.
my bad.
Deborah Sinelli, 123357. At the beginning of the meetings, if you, Mr. President, could please tell people to turn off their cell phones. There were several that went off today during the meeting. It's very annoying. And then also, if you could ask the people to keep their personal conversations at a whisper. That's also as distracting. And when I'm hearing all this stuff in the back, maybe it's just my hearing, but when I'm hearing all this stuff going on in the back and people mumbling and talking, it makes it hard to understand what's going on up here, even with you mic'd. So I just, for common courtesy,
Good comments, thank you. Yes, sir.
Okay, my name is Harold Butch Lind, rec card number 136821. I'm vice president for the tennis club. My question just is for clarification. Okay, the groups that came forth for photography club and computer club and stuff, it's the way I see it, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, they weren't asking for accommodations. These were simply, they were asking you to review the situation on the rooms and the space utilization and so forth. So my question is, why does that fall under the auspices of the Charter Club Committee at this time? Should that not be a decision for the Properties Committee and that tour be part of the Properties Committee review?
I think President Leary would like to
Thank
comment
you.
on that.
That's a great question, and I'll answer that by saying that this year we've changed the process just a little bit in that these two requests from Glass and Clay are club requests. So it starts with the Chartered Clubs Committee. What the process that they've gone through for last month and this month is to hear from all of the parties involved, to make their case, and then what the Chartered Clubs Committee will do is to basically decide, is this a good, is the proposed solution a good idea or not? It's a yes or no. Maybe they'll come up with a different solution. But the point of it is in the past, we would have simultaneously gone to all three committees, properties, budget, and chartered clubs, and we would have ended up with 3 different answers. And people got very confused. There were lots of dollar figures thrown out, and at this point, early in the process, all of those dollar figures are nothing more than wishful thinking at this point. So we tightened up the process so that if they decide to move forward with the solution, they will in effect be the project sponsor for that effort. And then they will their recommendation will go to the properties and to the budget and finance committees. So it's to let them do their due diligence is basically what we're allowing them to do. Does that help?
Thank you. I think I had it right in my head. Anyway, with that, we will adjourn the meeting. Thank you all.